Yo, what's going on YouTube, I am back. I know it's been a few weeks, but we're back just in time, and I got some things to show you guys. We excited about this little quick demo I will do here. Let me just share this out to the community. Let's get some more people in here. Let me just get my YouTube link going. Here we go. Go to X and on Telegram. Okay, links are out. So let's get into this right away. As always, not financial advice, and this is just stuff you got to do your own research on. But we're going to take a look real quick at Citadel powered by Graphane off the chart.xyz. This is the product, which is looking really nice now. As you can see, very clean setup, and it's an OTC trading desk on decentralized smart contract type of DEX programming. So on the back end of everything, it's on a DEX essentially. So it's not nobody holds custody. The custody is essentially just done through smart contracts. So that having been said, you know, there are a lot of people that want to use things like OTCs, over-the-counter trades, so that it doesn't affect charts. Now, there's other ways that you can use and leverage these tools for different things like privacy, security, and also, you know, even potentially removing bubbles from a bubbles maps. You know, there's ways to use a tool like this to your advantage, and I just thought I'd mention a few sort of examples there. But essentially, for privacy would be kind of the number one thing, so that you can make trades and be taking the other side of those trades yourself. Now, this product is still being worked on, so if you do make a trade, for example, like one USDC for a bunch of another token, there is the ability that people will see these active trades, right? And they could potentially take that trade. That's the whole point of this, is to create an anonymous transaction over the counter. So for example, you want to sell your token at a 50 mil evaluation of the token. You can post it up at that price, and you know, someone else could potentially snatch up that trade if they decide to. So that's kind of how this whole platform is going to work. So I did want to do a quick let's see here. I'm going to do a quick example of what I'm talking about. Now, I believe I bought some, yeah, we bought some Citadel, just a couple bucks here, and I've also got some USDC on another account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be saying that I am selling 1,000 Citadel for 1 USD, right? So this would, I would create this trade through this account. We're going to confirm again. Oh, and we had a failure. Program is already to be initialized. Oh, was it not initialized? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that meant. Let's try disconnecting and reconnecting. And let's try creating that trade again. Okay, yeah, for some reason it's not working for me. So let's try this one more time. Let me switch wallets here and try to connect. And say this one's got USDC, so say I want to buy. So I'm gonna create that trade. No, it's not working for this one either. Means why error code. So I'm gonna go back to the developers with this, chat with the Citadel community and see if we can get this fixed, and then I'll do a demo for you guys as soon as I can. So we're just gonna leave that for a bit, but yeah, you know, I believe this is a really wicked product that's gonna be pretty awesome. You receive, they receive. Oh, okay, selling. No, I don't have that. So let's talk about the markets real quick, just because there's a lot of action going on. I mean, stocks, like, look at this. This is just like ripping back to all-time highs. The VIX is dumping. It's under our line. It's looking good there. We were looking at dollar index right away. Excuse me, guys. Looking at the dollar index right away. We're underneath those lines. So, so yeah, I think we're looking good to be primed for more up, is kind of where I'm going. Generally up is what I would say. You know, this is looking good for generally down. Rejected here at that trend line, and now it's underneath this trend line. This is a longer time frame trend line that we looked at from kind of here. So BTC dominance is continuing to rip higher since this big drop, you know, a few weeks ago, but I think here looks like it could be looking like a double toppy, or a lower high, and the rejection is likely. It's likely imminent, folks. Looking something like this maybe, you know, and then we want to see it drop off, you know, seeing that double top with a lower high type thing going on the BTC dominance. That's the daily chart that we're looking at. So roll over here, if it rejects at this 64.85 sort of mark that we had put out on the chart, I think you're going to see a little, you know, alt type season is what I would call it. All these charts looking just a little bit different, right? So this is kind of the one that we were looking at the most, just about consideration of continuation to the upside. You know, we drew this out around here in April, and it's so far it's been following kind of the route. It dipped a little bit deeper than anticipated here, but it recovered very nicely, and we're actually recovering even nicer than anticipated on this last 1 day 4% candle move. Really nice. You know, a little bit of a dip now, but that's just rejecting off this line that we have here. So I think continuation once we really make it above this. You know, you could even just wait that little bit out, wait until it breaks the all-time highs, and then decide. You've got a really nice stop here at around 100K if worse comes to worse. So I think it would be worth it to just go max long at that point. Just might as well, right? And then look for the higher targets, right? We're looking 120, 130, but I have on my other charts marked out between 134 and 171 or 173-ish is kind of the next fib extension that I would look at for Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin looking bullish, looks good, following the cloudy the second, cloudy the third. So we should probably put this in here. Cloudy the third is gonna form to be a very nice cloudy, because I think this is that big extension that a lot of people have been finally, patiently waiting for to play out. ETH, BTC finally looking like it's coming out of the doldrums. This is a long time for it to be consolidating downwards and capitulating, I should say. And this is looking like a bit of a pennant coming out of here, so I would just pay attention to this bull flag to break, and then move over this 200 daily, and that's when you're going to start seeing this thing, like once you see it recover that 200 daily. So this is kind of where I think we are. Could we revisit the low one more time just like we did back here? Potentially. But we'd look for a higher low. I'm actually getting word from the team that the devs are doing updates and that he's going to reset it. So we'll give it a minute. We can actually hop back onto that Citadel escrow and check out if it's working. Look at that. Like, what a community. Getting live updates while I'm on stream. So ETH now maybe worth looking at again, as it's on the USD pair moving over the 200 day. So at this point it could really start flying if it's able to consolidate and keep above this. And we can see here, even on the VPVR, we have like a volume node here that we're kind of waiting. Once we overcome that, it's going to push up into these lines that we have marked out here between 29 and 3200. Once we recover that 3200 mark, I would say it's going to be easily looking really bullish for Ethereum. So of course Sol ETH taking a bit of a plunge because ETH is finally seeing its day. This is kind of what we have marked out on Sol BTC, and I think this dipped a little bit lower than anticipated, but it's still fine to move up from here as kind of like a higher low. You can see that on the fibs. This will probably be a nice bounce sort of spot for the higher low, and we can see that like it kind of dipped towards the 786, but we're in that golden pocket right now, so it's a good spot to be kind of moving up from. So Sol dominance still down out of that channel, worth getting rid of that. And I said just straight up, but it doesn't look like that's it. So maybe this next move, once it passes over this 200 daily, that's when we'll see that Sol sort of outperformance that we're used to seeing. I might have done some Sol USD charting. There we go. So yeah, anticipated that we move up and then continue moving up, or a little dip back down and then continue moving up. We dipped it just a little lower than where it was anticipated. We're breaking past this point of a head and shoulders. So I think at this point, it's going to do more of like an inverted head and shoulders to target this area here, right? So moving up and then another move after, potentially a dip into this zone. So yeah, that's Sol's looking really ripe as well, ready for a big move. I think everything's really generally ready for a big move. think I anticipate like Bitcoin making the first moves, Ethereum finally showing some strength, potentially outperformance of altcoins to bring us into the altcoin season. So bring this index up at least, because as you can see, for a while now it's been buried low, right? So we had this massive spike up in sort of December, tried to kind of continue throughout January, but it didn't make it, and then it's been dipping ever since. This is a good zone. We can see here it's touched this zone that we're in a lot in the past and made its bounces from here. So this is kind of where I would anticipate a good bounce is going to happen. You know, how long it takes, unknown. But usually you can see, you know, February to August to July, February to July. You know, this one took a little bit longer. That's kind of some bear market vibes. This one underneath that blue line from June to sort of September, couple months, right? So looks like, you know, we've been here since March. We're in June now. Maybe, you know, could happen now or in the next month or two max, is what my anticipation is. I think personally we've been down here long enough, and we're going to see some outperformance through the altcoins in the next little while, because if you see it on, like, this is total 3, oops, total 3 coming out of this channel, and it still hasn't broken up out of that downtrend, whereas this one looks a little bit better. Still, it hasn't broken out of that downtrend channel, but it's getting very close. It's, I think, closer than regular total. They're pretty similar, to be honest, but once we see the total 2, total 3 sort of break up, this should give us some fireworks throughout the alts. Speaking of alts, I spoke of this altcoin recently when it had launched. Probably called it around here, between the 5-6 mark. If I go right down, maybe I can see the area. Yeah, so it would have been kind of this area here. Yep, so this kind of area here is where I called it in TG, and we're up on that, like, pretty significantly, right? So from this sort of zone to peak 300%, to where we're at now, basically like a 3x, 4x max. Oh, I guess that's like 6. You could have caught it as low as 5 after I called it, so you could be up 4x, you know, on that. But what you're seeing here is this massive trend from the beginning, you know, still intact. And I believe what we're seeing here is this, like we normally see, this sort of meme pattern play out. Now, you know, it could continue a little bit further, but I think usually these get about 75% filled and then go up, right? So we're at that point, I think, where we're near 75%, maybe have this one dip lower and then continue on up. This one I would say to look for much higher targets. Let's go to the 1 hour. So looking at much higher targets, you know, probably look at the chart like this, because, you know, this type of parabolic run is what we're going to anticipate from this. So potentially a parabolic run. Once this thing breaks 50, even maybe 100 mil, we could see some massive surge in volume. that would bring in some big exchanges, big KOLs, all that sort of stuff. So Mask is one I am paying attention to heavily, because this looks like an insane accumulation structure. So I would continue accumulating. Usually what they say is you see this 3 sort of drive, and then that's when it moons. And you see it on, like, I think even on things like Fartcoin. Sort of in the beginning of the charts. It's hard. It's going to be hard to find this, because we have to dig down to like the hourly or whatever. I mean, it's hard to compare this with Fartcoin because of what Fartcoin did. Like, it just drove straight up. Yeah, you can't really compare it to Fartcoin too much. What an insane run. What an insane run for Fartcoin. Maybe it was Whiff. I forget which one, but I remember seeing people compare. And Whiff is so hard to find. Like, because so many fakes are out there. Anyway, Citadel. Like, this thing is down in accumulation mode. And we got a second sort of major dip, but I think this is where we see this create a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high. This is where we want to break this 3 mil mark. See this clean break 3 mil, hold above that 3 mil mark. Because as you can see, you know, we try to hold above it, just keeps getting rejected, right? So we want to see it move 3 mil, hold that 3 mil, and that's when we're going to be looking at these sort of higher structure areas. 7 sort of mil is the next, 7 to 8 mil is the next line. I would look at 12 to 25 mil as well. What did I just do? I just kind of reset that. 12 to 25 mil next as potential points of interest. That's when we're looking at all-time highs between 45, 54. And then once that clears, you know, we're still looking at these markers between, you know, the 90 and 140 mil mark, as high as 230, I think, on this next leg stretch. This thing's being quietly building. In the background, the team, the dev, everything is just continuing on. So worth the punt at these levels. You know, $1,000 US will get you 1 million tokens. I don't need to tell you what that means when we get to 100 mil market cap, because you can just do the math right off your head. You know, 109 mil market cap, and you're looking at 100x. So you do the math. It's easy. Let's see if the escrow works. We're gonna try this one more time, and if it doesn't, then I'm gonna let you guys go. I've been playing a lot of CS lately, guys. Get some CS skins. I would highly recommend that. The value, I purchased a knife like maybe a couple months ago for about it was like under $200. It's now worth like 400. So CS skins are doing pretty good. Let's just try this and see what happens. Now it looks like dev's still working, so we're gonna let the dev work. I'm gonna do another demo video, probably, you know, tomorrow or whenever it's working, and we'll upload that one as its own standalone video. As for tonight, thanks for tuning in. Andy's Crypto Talk. and I hope you guys have a great